Hello there, my name's Jack. I'm the Editor-in-Chief of the LSE Undergraduate Political Review, and today I'm joined by John McDonnell, the Shadow Chancellor of the Exchequer. John, thank you very much for being with me today. John is here at the LSE, having just given a talk on the Labour's new economic plan. This is part of a series of talks and discussions aimed at encouraging debate around economics. John, thank you for being here. Before we get on to Labour's new economics, can we first go back and try and understand more about old economics, what is wrong with it, and how you think people should be thinking about the economy in new ways?
Well, if we go back to 2008, we just had the worst economic crisis in this country that we've seen since the 1930s. And that's a demonstration of what the old economics were about. An economy that was not in democratic control, in which we had a banking sector which was completely deregulated, speculating with ordinary people's money and bringing about a crisis. So we had a casino economy. But that was also based upon basically holding down of wages, so that people then, if they wanted to have a roof over their heads, there was a massive asset price increase, particularly in housing, so they had to go into debt. That created a debt bubble. And if the banks were deregulated, then the lending in an unscrupulous way, that brings about a crisis. So that was it. It was an economy that was out of control and actually was profiteering in the short term rather than investing in the long term. And that produced untold suffering for people, with austerity then being brought in by governments, increased unemployment, wages suppressed even further, cuts in public services, and unfortunately some tragedies as well. And I just give the examples in my own constituency, people not being able to afford a roof over their heads, services being cut, particularly care services to young and old. So that's the old economics. That's what it brought about and the suffering it entailed.
Sure. Okay, and my second question is, what is Labour's new economics, and how is this more appropriate with dealing with the challenges of a modern economy? Okay,
we're going to learn the lessons of what went wrong in the 2008 in particular, but also what's been going wrong since then under the coalition government and under the current Conservative government. And what's gone wrong is basically lack of democratic control of our economy. So who's making the decisions? Individual corporations, multinational corporations, often not in the long-term interests of our community. So lack of control. And who is in charge? It's largely those people who caused the crisis in the first place, banks and finance sector. They're going back to profiteering again. Deregulation, unfortunately, has taken place under this government. So we're actually saying we want to democratise our economy, make sure we have controls again. So we regulate our finance sector. Make sure that people pay their taxes, organisations pay their taxes. So again, making sure the society is fair, not just democratic, but fair. And I give the example that we saw in recent weeks of Google, a company that, have avoided taxes through bizarre company structures that they set up, expected to pay roughly £200 million a year for the last 10 years, have paid £200 million for the whole decade. Unacceptable. So, democratise our economy, make it fair, and make sure we have a fair tax system. But most importantly, have a government that's working in the long-term interest of the community. And what does that mean? Long-term patient investment from the public sector, working with the private sector. And in that way, we invest in skills, in infrastructure, and new technology. And then, as a result of that, we can have a prosperous economy shared by everyone.
Okay. And sort of with this new economics, how is it that Labour is going to make this palatable for the UK general population as well? How is it that you take these ideas and then make them resonate with the UK population?
That's a good question. I think it requires us making sure that we engage with people. And one of the ways of doing that is, as we're doing at the moment, touring around the country. We've set up an economic advisory council with some of the world's leading economists and some of the best communicators as well. I'll give Joseph Stiglitz as an example, Mariana Mazzucato, others like that. Not only are they good economists, they can explain economics in simple terms as well to all of us and give us an alternative for the future. We're getting them touring around the country, doing lectures and seminars open to everybody. We're going to do an annual conference on the economy as well, so that people can turn up, talk about the state of the economy for them and what reforms we need. We're going to look at the economy as well from what it means for young people, what it means for women, what it means for people with disabilities, carers, all sectors of life. So people get involved in that discussion. In that way, we open up the discussion and the debate, but also we raise levels of consciousness about what economics means and what our economy is. If we can do that, we can then arrive at democratic decisions on what the long-term policies are. It will need a Labour government. I make that absolutely clear. No other party is going to be able to deliver those policies, but those policies have got to be grounded in the debate that we're having at the moment.
Okay. John, thank you very much for joining me today.
No, it's a pleasure.
Thank you.